evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mara Silverpen here in Cary, North Carolina with a breaking news story. I am joined by Justine Knight. Justine, may I please have a few minutes of your time?
Absolutely.
Can you please state your name, your full name, and your role here at the Triangle Aphasia Project?
Certainly. I am Justine J. Knight. I am the Executive Director at Triangle Aphasia Project Unlimited.
What is the Triangle Aphasia Project Unlimited?
Well, TAP supports the aphasia community. So we have programming that serves individuals with aphasia. We serve families, provide support there, and we also serve the community.
Aphasia? What is that?
Well, aphasia is a language condition that often comes after a stroke or brain injury, or can be part of a progressive disease. And so often shows itself in the forms of trouble speaking or trouble reading, trouble with comprehension.
So these people that have aphasia are intellectually normal and have no deficits in memory?
Exactly. My dad could still tell you how to fly a plane, but don't ask him to say my middle name.
This must be an extremely frustrating condition.
It is. That's why we do everything we can to support them.
Well, I'm so excited to be here today because I understand from my sources that the Triangle Aphasia Project has responded to this global pandemic that we are exiting now in a really unique and creative way. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What did the Triangle Aphasia Project do to keep people engaged and working on their language?
Absolutely. So in a matter of weeks, in response to the COVID pandemic, the incredible team at TAP and the executive director at the time was able to turn on TAP at Home programming, which made our programming go from in-person to virtual. And so people were able to connect with their groups, with the group leaders, with the executive director at the time, all through the safety of their home.
That is amazing. TAP at Home. So people were on Zoom groups. What did you learn from this experience?
Well, quite a bit. There were actually a lot of benefits to it. So we were able to reach people across the state, no longer just in the Triangle area or near our hubs and spokes. We were able to reach people who had transportation issues, who could just tune in anytime. We were able to reach people directly after their strokes when they were still in hospital or rehab centers. We also were able to increase awareness across the state. TAP, the name truly grew in popularity across the state.
This is really amazing. Now, I know that you did a lot during the pandemic, but things are changing and things are opening back up. People are getting back to real life. What are TAP's plans moving forward?
Well, TAP plans to launch a hybrid model.
Hybrid?
Yes. Not to be confused with the cars. Our hybrid model is going to have in-person programming as well as virtual programming. So we're going to keep the virtual programming so that people can still participate from across the state and from their homes if they're most comfortable that way. But we're also going to have separate in-person groups for people who want to reconnect with each other.
This is amazing. I know people are really ready to see each other and get back to it. Now, I know that TAP in its history has really prioritized individuals' well-being. And with COVID and the flu and other illnesses going around, what is TAP doing to protect TAP clients and their families?
Well, for our in-person groups, we're going to be making a few changes to what they've been in the past.
Okay.
So individuals will have to register ahead of time, so the groups will be limited in size, so they'll know that they will have space in the room, so they're not directly on top of each other. We'll also be requiring proof of COVID vaccination. So that's important so that we know everyone coming in is managing their risk. And if someone isn't able to get their COVID vaccine for any reason, they can still participate virtually.
This is really wonderful. You all have thought of everything.
We just have some great people on staff.
We are fortunate. Now, TAP is known as a hub and spoke model. Can you explain this, and how does this impact our transition back into, quote, real life?
Absolutely. So think of our Cary office as our hub, and we'll have other locations. Before COVID, we had other locations that are our spokes. So those are other places where groups may meet that aren't directly in Cary. So potentially North Raleigh or Wilmington. Eventually we hope to have these spokes across the state, but we'll always have our Cary hub.
That is wonderful. So I assume that the places that you would hold groups outside of the hub may have their own recommendations and precautions for keeping people safe.
Exactly. A lot of these places may be hospitals or other healthcare facilities. So we will respect whatever their rules are and make sure that we're working closely with these other places in the community to make sure that our clients and anyone going to our groups or near our groups are safe.
This is wonderful. And I know you had a great group of people through the transition task force, your board of directors, and of course your staff and group leaders working to make sure that this happens safely.
Exactly. I couldn't have done it without them.
Okay, so TAP is being safe and it's looking forward to doing groups online and in person again, both at the TAP home office and also in areas across North Carolina. These are exciting collaborations with hospitals and universities. I'm sure you are excited to get back to it. Now, you mentioned keeping groups at a certain number based on the space that's allotted. How will you do that? How will you know who's coming and who's not?
So there will be an online registration process. Over the past year, we worked to redevelop our website, which is now more aphasia friendly. And on that website, there's a calendar, a weekly calendar, where people can see all the groups listed for the week. You can filter between in-person and virtual groups. And for the in-person groups, you'll be able to click on that, just sign up, register ahead of time that week, and we'll have a list of who's attending. We have it capped at the appropriate number of people, and it should be a pretty easy process.
This is just wonderful. So how do people know if there's a change in the schedule, or even how do they get updates about what's going on at TAP? Because you're so much more than groups. There are so many things going on with TAP. How do people keep in touch with TAP?
Well, there's a lot of options. We always update our website and we have our social media, but it's really important if people want the latest and greatest and most accurate news is to keep an eye on our newsletters. We send out a weekly newsletters for our clients and families, and that has event updates, schedule changes, new opportunities. I mean, the whole world is at your fingertips when you look at that newsletter.
Well, I love the focus on news. Okay, so it sounds like you are encouraging your TAP family to pay attention to the newsletter, to stay in touch. I understand the groups will be being announced over the next couple weeks, and that's another reason to keep in touch, right? So before we head off and I go to my next breaking news story, I'd like to see if there's anything else that you'd like to share about TAP before I head out.
Well, I think that's the biggest news for now. I hear that later there's a segment on strides for speech. I hope you'll all tune into that. But we are very much looking forward to launching our hybrid model, and I appreciate your investigative journalism.
I take this job very seriously. So this is Mara Silverpen signing off. Good night and God bless.